morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dallas Chamber of Community Affairs. Today, our guest is Renzo Meza. He is with OregonSaves, and there is some registration deadlines coming up on the 31st of July. And actually, were they the 1st or the 31st?
31st.
31st. And so there's lots of information out there, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what is what and who is who and what do you need to pay attention to. So that's why we invited Renzo on as our guest. But before we begin, we're going to go around the screen, and each one of you have the opportunity to introduce yourself and the organization that you belong to. And if you promise to keep it short, you can tell me what's going on with your organization. So we're going to start with Tanya.
All right, good morning. Tanya Brumley with Northwest Natural. And gosh, I feel like I've seen so many of you already this week, so I'm just going to keep it short and leave it at that.
All right, thank you. Corliss?
Good morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh with Habitat for Humanity, the Senior Center and the library. And I also will keep it short and say nothing.
Thank you. Scott?
Good morning, everyone. Scott McKay, Community Liaison for Circles of Care, which is a part of the Age Plus statewide nonprofit. And just to remind folks, since we won't be meeting in August, that there's going to be a concert on August 10th to recognize Randy Haynes and a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association. Doors open at 5, music starts at 6, so I hope everyone will be able to attend it at Lewis and Clark Park downtown. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. Phil? Whoops.
Uh-oh.
He disappeared. All right, he's coming back in. So Rob, go ahead and take it, sir.
Well, I'm going to pick up where Scott left off, and we're supporting that Alzheimer's Foundation fundraising. Boy, that's hard to say this time of day. There's too many letters in there. But the point is, if you want to donate to the Alzheimer's, there's a tab on our webpage, midcolumbiaseniorcenter.com. We've got that just set up. You can go on there and you can donate to either through Square One or Square, which is like PayPal type thing. For lack of a better explanation, you can donate there to Alzheimer's research, as well as I believe there's a link there to get to the Randy Haynes donation thing that him and his wife has set up for him and their friends. So there's opportunity there if you wish to donate and can't make it to the concert to support that cause. It's there at midcolumbiaseniorcenter.com. And that's enough for today.
Perfect. Dave Peters?
Good morning, everybody. Dave Peters, Columbia Cascade Housing, Mid-Columbia Housing Authority. No big notices right now. Rand Road's moving forward, which was going to be huge in Hood River. We're working on a rehab project over in White Salmon. And anyway, I'm busy doing all sorts of things. Thanks.
Thank you. And hopefully Phil is able to get on, and I apologize for the noise behind me. It is my turn to take care of the puppies this morning. So Phil will probably pop on later. He is, just so you know, our county commissioner. So he'll be back on later. I'm pretty sure he's probably got a signal issue.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, I'm not driving. My wife's driving. We're down the gorge here by Bonneville. And yeah, Phil Brady, Wasco County Commissioner. It's nice to see several of us at the Sandoz Farms on Wednesday morning. And Corliss was confessed that sometimes she shows up in pajamas. So I want to suggest perhaps in December, we have a pajama party here at Community Affairs.
I'll see what I can do to work on that. With hot cocoa and candy canes, right?
Right, right.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. We'll maybe get the kids from the elementary school and do some Christmas carols too. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Renzo. I'm going to let you take it from there. If you need anything, just let me know. And we'll go from there. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Lisa. And I think I recognize some faces from a presentation I did a few years back. But yeah, thank you for having me back. Thanks for making time this morning. As Lisa mentioned, I work for the state treasury, and we actually house a few different savings programs. And as Lisa mentioned, I think it's easy for some of them to get lost, confused with others. So I think my plan was just to do a quick high level overview of each program that I think is kind of relevant to different people. Maybe there's a takeaway for you or a question I can answer, and then we'll leave any time at the end for just diving into the details where you think they might be necessary. Um, I'll start with OregonSaves because I think maybe it's the most relevant, but also has sort of the greatest time sensitivity, if you will. So if you're unfamiliar, OregonSaves is a statewide retirement savings program with the overarching goal of increasing access to retirement savings, particularly in the workplace. Simple as that. I think the reason this program was created as well was really to address the nationwide retirement savings crisis, not only affecting Oregon, but every state. Quarter of Americans have no retirement savings at all. And so when we were thinking about how to design this to really have the most impact, one of the statistics we learned that was kind of critical in the design was knowing that workers are 15 times more likely to save for retirement if the option is available through the employer. If it's just another deduction on the paycheck, it takes some of that upfront research out of it that can get really overwhelming and complicated, and just makes it a lot more seamless to just be a paycheck deduction. But I say the difference is sort of, while Social Security and FICA, you kind of just hope goes to the right place, don't really know, you can kind of see this deduction immediately go to your OregonSaves retirement account. So you can sort of track it a little bit better, which I think gives a lot of people some ease. That said, when the program launched, the law also stated that employers with W-2 employees and without a qualified workplace retirement savings option, like a 401k, must offer OregonSaves. Again, being that the goal is access, all employers basically have to offer some sort of retirement savings option. 401k, OregonSaves, 457, 403, something. And so the program launched in 2017 in waves, but now we're at the point where just every year on July 31st, you can expect kind of new businesses having this annual deadline and needing to register. I also do want to kind of use this opportunity to also mention that it's very likely that enforcement here is going to start soon. Per law, we just kind of have to hand over that baton of enforcement for compliance with the program on, and that's going to get started. So also a big reason why we wanted to be here to sort of give that heads up. We definitely don't want employers receiving notices for non-compliance. So really urging folks to apply if they haven't by this deadline. And so while employers do need to offer something, participation is voluntary for employees. They get to decide if and how they participate in the program. So also, as I mentioned, employers do have a role in the rollout of OregonSaves, but I want to be totally clear that OregonSaves does not impose fees on employers, nor does it hand off fiduciary responsibility to employers. Employers' role in this is just to register on time and then facilitate the payroll contributions for the employees that decided to remain enrolled in the program every time you run payroll, basically. So I've boiled it down to kind of those two responsibilities within it. There's no employer match. Employers don't need to answer questions of how much they should save, when they should invest. They can leave that to us. The employees can call us. They can consult a professional. Employer's role is just the administration of it. And a big thing that I think has been something we've been working on since the last time I was here is we've taken a lot of employer feedback. We've really tried to make administering OregonSaves as simple and straightforward and intuitive as possible. But another big focus of ours right now is payroll integrations with leading payroll providers. So what I mean by that is we know a lot of particularly small businesses work with your QuickBooks, your Gusto, Paychecks, things like that to run their payroll. So instead of having to use those systems and also go into the OregonSaves platform to administer OregonSaves, you can basically integrate them with just a few clicks, kind of link the systems. So then when you make a deduction line in, say, QuickBooks Online, it just automatically submits the information to OregonSaves, and you don't need to go into our platform again. So it's meant to sort of save you a step, be a little bit more efficient, and just kind of allow you to just run on your payroll system, the one you're more familiar with. So just wanted to shout that out. And then as you're thinking about the employees with this, want to be clear that so the workers that choose to participate, what they receive essentially or what they open is a Roth IRA account. There is a standard enrollment contribution flow for those enrolled where it's 5% of their gross pay contributed to the OregonSaves after tax. Naturally, the money is invested, but I do want to also make sure that that's sort of the standard default when it was designed, but employees can customize it to fit their needs. They can increase, decrease the contribution rate. They can select their investment options, choose beneficiaries, all of the above. So there's a lot of flexibility in there for them. So with that, that's sort of the OregonSaves overview. Again, shouting out the deadline at the end of the month and put the link to register. Pretty straightforward. I do also want to call out the second link that you see here, the Employer Help Center. That is a really good website, really helpful, a lot of great tools. It's where I go if I ever forget something or have a question. But we have tutorial videos, step-by-step guides with screenshots that kind of walk you through the registration process, how to make your kind of add security to your account if you want to, talks about just kind of employee status, the whole flow. So it's really helpful. But if you'd like something more intuitive or where you can ask questions, we host webinars in English and Spanish. You can always call us. But I think my favorite here is the Employer Help Center. I just think it's a really good tool. So just wanted to shout that out. And then quickly wanted to move to two other programs that Treasury houses that we've been kind of, even with employers, been just kind of shouting these programs out a little bit more, recognizing that, employers are not just employers, they're parents, they're people, and could also benefit from some of these programs as well. So just in case you haven't heard of them, I'm going to do a quick overview of our other two savings programs. The first is Oregon College Savings Plan, kind of your standard 529 college savings account. Just want to be clear that while college is in the name, the money can actually be spent on universities, trade schools, apprenticeships, certification programs, and not only on the tuition. It can also cover room and board, books, computers, tech, anything that is pertinent to post-secondary education expenses is a qualified expense. It's a savings account, but of course, to get the most bang for your buck, the money is invested. Your investment earnings, your gains are tax-free as long as they're used for post-secondary educational expenses. So that's sort of the high-level bit. I also always like to shout out the educational sort of element to this, where several studies basically say that kids who know they have an educational savings account are 2 times more likely to attend and graduate from college. So just sort of knowing that someone is saving for you, someone is investing in your education can have a pretty big impact. So yeah, just factoring that in for kids, grandkids, siblings, spouses, whoever's kind of thinking of college, it's an option there. Is Bottle Drop present in the Dalles? Do you all heard of it or have a Bottle Drop office by chance? Okay, great. So I love Bottle Drop. It's a big feature, but not sure if folks know. So usually with Bottle Drop, you drop off your bottles or your cans and you get, you can get cash on the spot. But do want to highlight that we actually inked a partnership a while back where instead of getting the cash, you can actually automatically transfer your bottle deposits directly to an OregonSaves account, or sorry, an Oregon College Savings account. So effectively, you can it can serve as an easy gift again to a child, grandchild, something like that. Have a beer, deposit it, send 10 cents to a person's account that again is invested over time. So $30 worth can go to 100, et cetera, et cetera. So a nice little tool. Also wanted to highlight the number one question we get from folks when talking about this account is, well, what if I've been saving for 20 years? My kid decides not to go to college or gets a scholarship and doesn't doesn't need my savings. So plenty of options. The most common one is you can roll it over to another beneficiary. So another child, anyone within the first cousin. So it could be you, it could be a spouse, it could be a nephew, niece, cousin. So you have some options there. You can always withdraw the money to your money. But actually at the federal level, a law was also just passed that if you meet some qualifications, you can actually roll your college savings account into a Roth IRA. So another option. So yeah, plenty of flexibility, but it's the number one question we get. So I wanted to call it out. And finally, the tax credit. Contributions to an Oregon college savings account are eligible for a refundable Oregon tax credit. So up to 180 for single filers, 360 for joint filers. It is means tested, meaning that if as a single filer, let's say you make less than $30,000 a year and you contribute $180, you get $180 at tax time. If your income is, say, north of 250,000, I think you need to contribute about 3,000 before you get this $180 back. But totally refundable. That's different than in past years where it was only deductible if you owed something, but now you can get more if you're going to get some tax benefits. Okay, and finally, last program here is an Oregon Able Savings Plan. So this is a savings plan for folks with disabilities, and I think it's always easier for me, at least, to kind of start this description with the problem statement, something that shocked me when I learned about it when I joined Treasury. I wasn't aware of it, but if a person has a disability and is looking for assistance from the federal government, state government, Social Security Administration, in most cases, they have what they call an asset limit. So you cannot receive their assistance, their benefits, if you have more than $2,000 in assets. So savings in a checking account, savings account, etc. So as you might imagine, it's problematic in the sense that it's sort of like perpetuating poverty. If you can't save more than $2,000, hard to get an apartment, hard to save for college, hard to buy a car, all of the above. So this was long an issue. And so the Able Savings Plan was created to allow folks to save well beyond this $2,000 asset limit without affecting their government benefits at all. So you can actually save up to $100 before any of your Social Security income is impacted at all. So a real game changer. The qualifications to be able to open a Oregon Able account is you need to have a disability. The age of onset needs to be so you need to be 45 or, excuse me, the disability needed to have occurred before the age of, sorry, this is changing. So before the age of 26, so as long as it did, you are eligible. But in 2026, the age of onset is increasing to 46. So we expect a lot more people to be eligible. We're thinking about veterans in this situation, things like that could benefit from this account. So just wanted to call that out. There's a contribution limit of $18,000 per year with Able. There's an extra contribution you can make if you also hold a job. Again, savings are invested. You can choose how to invest the money in a way that works for you. And then any savings can be used on a wide range of expenses. The definition in federal law around Able is it needs to improve your health, independence, and or quality of life. So it is a broad range of things that allow the person with a disability to do what they want or need to do with this account. And then same thing here, it's eligible for all the same tax credits that I mentioned with the Oregon College Savings Plan as well. So tried to blow right by that. Here are the websites. We've made a lot of updates to our OregonSaves website, College Savings website. College Savings in particular is now available in a ton of languages that are easy to toggle through. So yeah, with that, I know just wanted to keep it high level and quick here and use any remaining time I have if there are any questions on any of the programs. But if not, definitely appreciate your time. Thanks for letting me share. Any support in spreading the word to communities means a lot to us. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Renzo. So do we have some questions? Um, I would ask that, do you guys have like a one pager that we can include so our members have this? We can either we can do a couple things. We can put it in our community e-blast to them as far as updates go. And then also we can be putting it into their new member packets, and especially if they're employers, knowing about the SAVES program itself. I know the registration is 31st, but maybe they're a brand new business coming on board.
Yeah.
That would be helpful for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do have a one pager and that I can get to you ASAP, and we're gonna update it as well. We were just
Okay.
talking about that. But yeah, I'll send you both versions, and I'll send you additional information, and so that you can pick and choose what makes the most sense, and contact
Perfect.
information as well.
That would be great. And
Yeah.
Corliss, you have a question?
Yes, Lorenzo, thank you very much for the information. I have one question on what happens if you die before your beneficiary is ready for college?
So you can sort of preemptively list a successor account holder. So that's one option, and then the beneficiary doesn't have to deal with it too much. But if one is not in place, then it would, in most cases, if the beneficiary is underage or something like that, it would kind of go through the normal estate process. But the beneficiary do want to clarify that the funds will still be for that person. It would just be kind of the account holder that would need to be addressed. But they can be identified beforehand, or a new account holder would sort of be identified through the estate process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great question. Scott, I think you had a
Regarding the size of the business that's required to have this Oregon Savings Plan, is that the number of employees or the full-time equivalent of employees?
number of employees, and yeah, so it includes part-time and full-time employees, seasonal as well for the cutoff. So if you do have seasonal employees, if they work for you for more than 60 days in a calendar year, they are eligible. And did want to flag here too, I think something you made me think of is that if you do offer a qualified retirement savings option like a 401k, or if you don't have employees at this time, but maybe plan to hire, then you can certify an exemption, basically telling us, no, I don't have employees at this time. And it's just kind of an easy way to kind of take yourself off that mailing list. So, yeah.
I have two questions. This is Phil. You can hear me.
Yeah, go for it, Phil. Thanks.
I may have missed this. If with a typical Roth IRA account, 1040B account, there are often fees attached when one is investing. Does that happen here? How is the fund paid for its management?
Yes, great question. So there are fees. They are paid through the saver. So so not the employer, again, they take on no fees with this, but for the saver, yeah, there's a flat fee, an annual flat fee, and an asset-based fee that's very low. I would say we're very competitive, but also those fees are there. And when an employee enrolls in the program, they receive kind of a program booklet that has all of this information. They can always go and look at it online. But yes, there are fees. I want to say specifically, it is $16 per year, the flat fee, and then it's 50 basis points on the asset-based fee. So 50 cents per $100.
So there's not a fee at time of withdrawal.
One more time, Phil, if you don't mind.
And when a person withdraws funds, there's not a closing fee.
No, so as long as they've met the sort of standard Roth IRA withdrawal, so if you're over the age of 59 and your account has been open for 5 years, then yes, absolutely, there's no withdrawal penalty. The only penalty becomes available if you make an early withdrawal of your earnings. So let's say you have the account open for 10 years, but you're only 45, then yes, you would be subject to a 10% penalty on the earnings portion only. The contributions are never subject to tax because they are you've made the contributions after tax.
Last question.
Yeah.
In our region, we have a number of second generation students and whose parents are not documented. And because of excellent work happening at our high school, these students are going on to four-year colleges. So if their parents aren't documented and they are working um, year round or enough to qualify, can they take advantage of this program?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, and I'm assuming you're referring to the college savings. So, in order for the college savings, both the account holder and the beneficiary need to have a social security number or an I-10. So they may have the I-10. We have gotten this question. I mean, it's tough just knowing it's a growing population. I know states are looking for how to address this, but for the time being here with these programs, you need one of these two. So, there's the element of, if a family member has a trusted individual with that social or an I-10, they can work that out. But again, I mean, being very clear that they then become the account holder, right? So it's almost in essence their money, right? So anyone can contribute, but yeah, that's just something for the family to consider. But yeah, in order for like the person who wants to, they need a social security and an I-10.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Great question. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, I'm just curious, are these, you mentioned they make you invest in this, and the interest rates, are they compatible? They market compatible? I mean, am I gonna get the same kind of interest rates that I get with Edward Jones, or, I mean, is that compatible, the Ross and all that, or is it less, or is it more, or is it, just the same?
Yeah, so I'd say for the most part competitive. So for Oregon, well, it kind of depends on the program here. So college savings and ABLE both have FDIC insured savings option, and that's the one that's kind of operating mostly on like the standard interest rate that right now is pretty high, kind of is doing as well as it's done in a while. So yeah, those are kind of just following the sort of national average or what's federally set, so pretty high. However, in most cases, folks are invested in a target retirement date fund, or for college, it's the same concept. We call it a glide path, but it's like depending on how far away you are from when the child or the beneficiary turns 18, right? If they're 2, it's very aggressive, gets more conservative as they approach that. So those investments, I would say, are generally more like total stock market, kind of large market cap. So I would say they are, the underlying investments are your State Streets of the world, things like that. So I would say they're pretty competitive. Everyone's got their little edge by what percentage of the portfolio they give, but I would say it's, I don't say this officially, but I think it's a marginal difference kind of on who you pick and choose. But also the saver can always follow it and track it and kind of see what the underlying investments are, how they're weighted, gains, stuff like that. But I would say they're pretty comparable and competitive for sure, given the scale of these programs.
I do have one more question. You may have said this and I might have dozed off or whatever, because you heard me at the beginning. I was
Oh yeah, no,
but my
early.
question is, so how old do you have to be to start withdrawing the funds? I mean, say I'm 25 years old and the company's been putting this money, or I've been putting this money through the company away for 25 years, and I want to go do something. What point can I start retrieving the funds that I posted in there?
So the IRS technical definition of a retirement age is 59 years old and 6 months. So you can start withdrawing from your retirement accounts, plural, at that age. But a couple things to consider there. So effectively, again, your account, your money, you can withdraw a day after you open the account and get your first deposit. The only thing that you'd be thinking of, I think, with these accounts is you don't pay any penalties on the earnings if you're over the age of 59 and a half. So, but you know, emergencies happen, right? Sort of thing. So you can always withdraw the whole fund. Do just remind folks that, like, as you're making, the employer's making these contributions, or you're making also side contributions over the years, let's say you yourself have contributed, you've put $20,000 of your own after-tax money in there, and it's gained, let's call it an even 5,000 over time. You can always withdraw that $20,000 that you've put in free and clear at any time for an emergency, something like that. Obviously, you hope someone doesn't, so it maximizes interest. But yeah, that money's always there for you to grab if you need it, all of it.
And
But
that's
the technical age is 59 and a half.
So one more question. That being said, is there a limit to the amount someone could put in besides the annually? I mean, like my Roth, I only put so much in every year. Is that max for you guys too?
Yes, it is. It is $7,000. 8,000 if you're over the age of 50. Good flag. Yeah, that's kind of a high level one I should have included in there. Yeah, 7,000 per year.
So it's basically the same. So
Yep.
Okay.
We're going off the kind of same rules.
Well,
Yep.
thank you. Appreciate your
Thanks.
time.
Yeah, thanks.
I had a question. Renzo, do you know anything about the home buyer savings account that Oregon has? And it's different than, you didn't mention it, so it's probably not under your umbrella, but.
I don't, but I'd be happy. Yeah, if you're looking for questions, I mean, yeah, we do house a few others, like unclaimed properties, which is kind of the popular one right now. But no, I haven't heard of it. But I'd be happy to. You said home buyers.
I don't know if it's got a better name, but home buyer savings accounts. You can put pre-tax money into it, and I don't know enough about it. I was hoping you might, but I can look it up myself. But
okay, yeah, thanks. Sorry, no, I don't. I don't.
Great questions. Love it. And it's even this early before 8. Good job.
Thank you.
And any other questions, guys? So besides us helping our employers as we meet them one business at a time, we can get that information. But is there another way that we can help, Renzo, as far as getting that word out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we keep it pretty flexible. I mean, we work with other state agencies, and we've been doing a lot of kind of road trips around the state. Just kind of knowing timing varies for employers in particular. Some are more available in the morning, some in the evening. Sometimes they're, working all day, so it's all hard. So I mean, I think the newsletter blasts are really great on all these programs. I mean, we know word of mouth goes a long way, so that's why we're always pretty jazzed, even when it's not the largest group. I mean, we just know that there's kind of influence and networking that happens here. So, but also, I mean, I think if there are local events, we're happy to table if there are like fairs or just events where you think like there's an employer population. Like, we don't necessarily also need to feature or present anything. I mean, sometimes we're just there and happy to just kind of walk around and just tell a few people about it, things like that. So and then I think we've also presented for businesses where they're like implementing OregonSaves now, but don't necessarily feel super comfortable going through the details with the employees just yet. So we kind of step in and just kind of give the employers kind of a presentation from their perspective that goes into a little bit more detail about like, what is a Roth IRA? What am I set to gain from this? What are the fees that was brought up? Kind of all that, so that the employer doesn't feel like they have to take on the onus. So happy to get creative with it, I think, is my answer. Any which way, I think we're always trying to think of what is the most optimal big way, but it doesn't work that cleanly. Everyone's busy, everyone's doing something. So if we can get one person, we take that as a win. So yeah. Tanya, sorry, did you have a question?
Yep.
Yeah, as you're talking, it just made me think about this, and so I'm curious. And correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like this might be more for independent businesses or small businesses to take advantage of, not corporations like what I work for, because they offer their own program. But
Yeah.
my question with that being, if that's the case, I'm thinking about like the SBCC with the college. Do you guys work directly with them? I'm thinking of new businesses that are coming into their themselves and trying to get their funding and setting it up. And this should be like part of how they set up their business. So is there a correlation between you guys and the SBCCs around the state to help these new owners understand some of these rules and laws?
Absolutely. No, it's a great question. I would say SBDC's chambers, even the Secretary of State, which is sort of like, once you register, small businesses are given kind of that new employer packet. So yeah, we are in there. I mean, I think they're a great tool. Yeah, we work with them closely. Usually these sort of we call them kind of employer rodeos or resource lunch and learns that we do. They're usually pretty involved in that. And that works pretty well. Sometimes just tricky to measure just because I think there's a lot of information that they have to have when they're starting their business about, compliance with taxes and all this. So I think for some it sticks a little bit better. But yeah, we're working with them. I just think too, it's also we think about it as needing to give multiple reminders, right? Because it's, for example, you might start a business August 1st, and then the OregonSaves deadline is the following year. And maybe, you don't register immediately, but, just there's a lot on their plate. So yeah, we kind of look for multiple opportunities to remind them. But yeah, we're working closely with them. And it is for smaller business. I saw Northwest Natural, and that would be nice. But yeah, most likely a 401k or something there. So, but yeah, great question. And yeah, SBDCs are a great friend and ally that we work with.
Cool. And the other piece of that real quick is I loved hearing the piece about the bottle drop, because now that we actually have one in the gorge, oh my gosh, it's like life changing, to be honest with you. And I feel like it would be so cool on the bottle drop. There's only one in the gorge. So if you had some sort of big sign at the bottle drop place, which is at Fred Meyer's here, that talked about how you could put the funding into a savings account for kids' future. I just became a grandparent, so something like that's super important to me. And there's a lot of people out there that probably don't realize how much $50 will just add up over time. And a lot of people find that bottle deposits they just don't even address it. They waste it, and it drives me nuts. So I feel like that would be such a win-win and a simple way to save money. So I would love to see more promotion at the bottle drop sites on that.
That's really good feedback. We have actually done small budget, but we actually tried our first two billboards last year. We put one in Ontario and one in Pendleton, I believe. But kind of as a new location opens up and kind of hearing a focal point. I mean, I'm very familiar with Fred Meyer, and so heavily trafficked place, things like that. I think that's good feedback to possibly consider putting one there. And also, I mean, we're thinking about, I guess, yeah, I agree. Like there's part of it is we're thinking of like letting them know that they can do it with bottle drop, but then kind of to your point, kind of demonstrating or making it clear how it works, right? Because I think that's also part of the process. Like I know what it is, but then how do I use it? So yeah, that's great feedback. I'm with you. I love this. I always shout out this partnership. To your point, I think it's easy to turn, like, I kind of jokingly say, like, you have a beer and contribute to your kids. Like, I mean, it's kind of like a win-win situation. And but yeah, $30, like when your kid is, I have a pretty young one. He's just turned one. And yeah, I mean, it's nice kind of knowing that I drop off $30 worth of cans, and that'll probably be worth, I don't know, a couple hundred maybe, probably in 18 years. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, that's great feedback. I've noted that. So I will definitely take that back in terms of thinking about new locations or as we expand kind of the marketing strategy. So yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah, I'll drink to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
There's a new tagline and billboard for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's,
Your savings. Yeah. Mhm.
the first time I
Drink
said
and
it, I said
save.
it kind of jokingly, but there was sort of agreement. There was nodding in the room, and I think there's something there. So I like that. I'll drink to that. Yeah, that's clever.
Yes. Drink and save for your kids. There you
Sure.
go. Was there any other questions for our guests this morning? Great conversation. Love it. We'll put this up. Hang on just one second.
And yeah, while you're
Sorry.
on mute, I'll send you that one pager and just kind of our most recent information just for you to have on hand. And I'll keep you posted as we get more updates and go from there.
Sounds good. So, and then we'll put this up on YouTube probably next week so that if you get across the business that hasn't heard of this, you can go grab it and share it with them. And we'll get that information out there, and then we'll get that in our other. Renzo put his email up there in the chat. So if you guys are looking for that, then go ahead and do that. And then, like Scott said, don't forget the August 10th. August 10th is a very busy weekend. That is also the car show and a few other things happening. So check out the community calendar on the DallasChamber.com. August is filling up between fair, car shows, and other things happening. So be sure to check all those things out. And then, of course, our normal networking. And then August will be off for the community affairs and back in full force in September. And we're booked. I think we have almost every slot but one filled all the way through December. So we're starting to work on 2025 already, which I think is fantastic. So everyone, with that, enjoy your day, stay cool, stay safe. Try to stay out of these smoky areas just for the air intake there. And then make sure, as my all timing 24/7, 365 days a year, shop local and support your local community. So you guys take care and have a good one. Thank you so much again, Renzo.
Thank you. Thanks all. Take care.